I like to start every new class with a short little introduction of myself and let you guys know a little bit about my academic background and where I'm coming from. My name is Diane Gibson. I graduated in 2006 from Ohio University with my bachelor's degree in psychology, and then I went down to Louisiana Tech University, and in 2009 I graduated with my master's degree in biology. Now for my master's degree, I kind of have a mix of subject areas going into it. I've got cell and molecular, and I've also got environmental remediation. So that's what my thesis research was based on, and that's what I'm going to be talking a little bit about tonight. So the title of tonight's lecture is Environmental Remediation Protocols and its Potential Side Effects. I'm going to start off my class with a little discussion of current events. Every day in the news lately, we've been seeing something about the BP oil spill. We know the rig fell over and a oil leak is contaminating our ocean, and this oil is getting ready to hit the Louisiana coastline where there are fragile wetlands. Now this is a big deal because we need to save our wetlands, and through deforestation we're already losing them through pollution, and so this oil spill is a major issue, especially in Louisiana and also along the coast of Florida, because we're talking about a really big tourist industry, and what happens when we can't go to the beach this summer because there's an oil slick all across the beach. Not so good. So a lot of people are worried about the BP oil spill, and what do we do to clean it up? Now, typically on a day-to-day basis, all we're going to hear about are these major catastrophic disasters. What we don't hear about are the little things that add up over time. For example, in 2003, 439,000 leaking underground storage tanks were reported to the EPA. 439,000. Now, this is roughly 700 citizens per leaking underground storage tank. That's a lot. Think about the size of your community. Do a little math. Now, those are just the reported incidences. Now, what happens, how many go unreported? We don't know. It's just mind-boggling to think about. We've got leaking underground storage tanks that are still in the ground from 100 years ago. And 100 years ago, we didn't have the same technology that we do today. Today, we've got our underground storage tank, and inside it we've got gasoline, and then, it's encased in 3 feet of concrete. We've got complex sensors that beep and let the gas station owner or attendant know, when we're losing gas and that kind of thing. We didn't have that kind of thing 100 years ago. 100 years ago, you're talking about putting basically a big round tin in the ground and pumping gas out. So, over time, they're going to degrade, they're going to start to leak, and they're going to start to contaminate our groundwater, our subsurface environment. This is a major problem. Alright, so what we have here is a picture of a leaking underground storage tank that's been excavated. And you can see here we've got, some nice gasoline pouring out of it. And it's all rusty and covered in mud, and it just looks yummy. Next time you go to your faucet, your water faucet at home, and you get some water out, you look at it, make sure it's clear before you drink it. Because if you've got a leaking underground storage tank outside your house, you might be drinking brown water. It's not so good. Alright, so for leaking underground storage tanks, we've got 2 types of remediation. We've got ex situ and we've got in situ. For ex situ, we're talking about a major site disturbance that's going to go on here. So what happens is the gas company is going to come in. They're going to hire people to come in, and with big bulldozers and backhoes and that kind of thing. And the gas station's going to have to close, and they're going to come in with their big heavy heavy machinery, and they're going to dig all that stuff out, and they're going to put it into a truck, and they're going to haul that contamination off to your local hazardous waste site. And everybody in town knows about what's going on down at Joe's BP, and what happens after Joe's fixed the remediation or fixed the contamination and he builds his new gas station. Are you going to go back there for gas? Maybe, maybe not. It's a problem. So, and going beyond that, you're talking about an extremely long bureaucratic process that's going to have to occur first. Because you're going to have to get permits to get the heavy machinery in there. You're going to have to get permits to carry hazardous waste, through town and down the highway, and then, your dump truck gets in an accident down the highway, and your hazardous waste, floods and contaminates the whole area, and then what do? So we're talking about big bucks here, big bucks. All right, for in situ remediation, in situ is on site. It's minimal. You're talking about minimal site disturbance, and at most you're probably going to have, an 8-foot by 8-foot privacy fence, 6-foot high. And it goes up behind the gas station, and nobody really knows what's going on. And so basically what's going to happen is, you're going to remediate the site without the general public's knowledge. That's kind of what we want here. That's what we're going for. So there's several different types of in situ remediation. The first one I'd like to bring to your attention is called natural attenuation. Natural attenuation is viewed as a do-nothing approach. All right, so what do you think of when you hear the word natural? We think of Mother Nature, let it be, it'll fix itself over time. And sometimes this approach is a good approach when we're not near any sensitive receptors. We're not near the elementary school or the playground or, the new development with millionaire homes and that kind of thing. And, what we also need to talk about here is money. Money is a limiting factor when it comes to this kind of thing because, we're talking about getting the EPA involved, we're talking about getting the Department of Environmental Quality involved, we're talking about engineers. We're talking about a lot of people that have to get involved for this process to even take place. So sometimes these leaking underground storage tank sites, they'll sit for years, decades, however long they can get away with because, our government has a limited amount of money to disperse to these underground storage tanks for remediation to begin with. So back to natural attenuation. It's not always a do-nothing approach. There are certain types of natural attenuation whereby, you can aerate the soil, you can add microbes to the soil that's going to eat up your contamination. But in general, it's not really a preferred method because once you start adding things to the soil, the EPA and the DEQ, they're kind of touchy about that. Right? We're trying to get stuff out of the soil. Why do you want to put stuff in the soil? That's that kind of mentality. So, and then once you start applying methodologies to natural attenuation, it's not so natural anymore, and you're going to start to get up in the cost. So if you're going to spend money, you might as well spend money and get it all out, and get it all out quickly. And that's where something like dual-phase vacuum extraction comes in, which is basically a pump-and-treat technology whereby, we're going to put pipes into the ground, and we're going to pump out the contamination, and we're going to treat it on site, and nobody's really going to know what's going on, and it's going to get fixed. The area is going to be remediated. So that's another type of in situ remediation.